Welcome back, guys, to my weekly series of the Mount Rushmore of something. So how this works is I pick a specific category and I go through a list of probably like 15 to 30 people, WWE superstars specifically, that should be on this list. And then I pick three that is undoubtedly on the Mount Rushmore. And then the whole purpose of this game is that you guys in the comment section, let me know who your fourth would be. So today's one is all about the Mount Rushmore of entrances. So a couple of things that I think is important when it comes to, and again, my videos are based on WWE, not ECW, not WCW, not AEW, not TNA. It's based on WWE and WWE only. So a couple of things that's important to me is music. Is the music, is it catchy at least? The visuals, the pyro, those kinds of things. The originality of the entrance, how it matches with the wrestler itself, and of course the crowd reaction. So let's go through a few that, now this is mainly going to be individuals, but there's two in there that's not individuals that I just think had to be mentioned. And then at the end I'll go through my three that should absolutely undoubtedly be on the Mount Rushmore, and you can then let me know who your fourth would be. So the Shield, them coming through the crowd, the whole thing with the riot gear, all of that, it just worked so well. Coming through the crowd, jumping the barricade, it just worked incredibly well. The music worked really well. Giving that to Roman Reigns when they broke up wasn't the best idea, but the Shield's entrance still deserves a mention. The NWO, I absolutely enjoyed it so much, especially when the NWO did the whole black and white thing and the guitar playing, all of that. Now, I know they're mainly a WCW faction, but they had a short run in WWE, and I'm talking about the NWO, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan. Not all the breakout factions and all of that WWE had with Booker T and Big Show, and no, just those three when they kind of made their debut in WWE. Next, AJ Styles. The part where he throws his hoodie back and does that. It's brilliant. It's so incredibly simple, but so good. Next, we've got Finn Balor. Now, he's got two. He's got the normal one where it's just ha, ha, or when he's feeling particularly spicy, he puts on a couple of leather straps and paints his whole body, and he becomes all demonic, and that's even 10 times better. Next, we've got Batista. What more can I say? I think it was Shakespeare who said it best. And by Shakespeare, I of course mean Santino Marella. I'm a Baptista, I shoot lasers from my arms. That is such a classic part of wrestling. Next, we've got John Morrison. The only reason I've got him in here is when he threw his arm back and everything became slow motion. Just so incredibly good, and it matches the guy so incredibly well. Next, Bobby Roode. All I'm going to say is his entrance is glorious. Next, we've got Y2J. Y2J's had quite a few different ones. He had the jacket that cost $25,000, that the whole thing with Dean Ambrose, but the break the walls down, just so incredibly good. Next, we've got Brock Lesnar. The little jump and then the jump onto the ring where he pulls back on the ropes, and just so good. Next, we've got Rey Mysterio. Music suits him absolutely perfectly, and a couple of times he came out through like a trap door where he jumped up, and it's just, it's so good. Next, I'm not a big fan of the wrestler, but his entrance, Goldberg. The whole presentation of his entrance with the security guards, the pyro, and then him breathing in a little bit of smoke and blowing it out. It's so incredibly good. Next, this is my childhood. This is my early teenage years, the Hardy Boys. The music, when that music hit, I popped. Always, every single time I popped, and the whole, so good. Next, we've got the Ultimate Warrior. If you talk about entrances, Ultimate Warrior was pretty much just an entrance. I'm not a fan of the Ultimate Warrior, but the way he sprinted down to the ring, I enjoyed it so much. Next is Randy Orton. The music, voices, the whole, it matches his persona so well with him hearing voices and his whole anger issues and all of that. The pose, everything is just so good. The slow methodical walk. And there was one event that I remember fondly where he was standing on the entrance ramp and he threw his arms back, and it was golden rain of pyro that came over, and it was just so incredibly good. Next, we've got Edge. You think you know me? And then the sprint to the ring, the slide into the ring, just everything so incredibly. The way he comes out and he looks always so surprised, and he looks at the crowd, and so good. Next, HBK. The double bicep flex, the dancing on the entrance ramp, the song itself, Sexy Boy, Sexy Kurt, that's impossibly better, but it's just incredibly good. Next, we have The Rock. Very simple. He just walks to the ring. But when you are The Rock, everything you do is just so much better. When he throws his arm up and just smells the air for what The Rock is cooking, so incredibly. I know I've said so good so many times in this video, but they're just so good. Next, again, it's just a guy walking. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. But when that glass shatters, you know business is about to pick up. He's just a badass walking to the ring, walking, talking, shaking his head. That's all. And when he used to do the thing where he flipped the bird, just made it a little bit better. Now, this is the last one I'm going to mention that is not on my 3. And I debated putting him on there, but I just ended up not. And that's Triple H. And I'm not talking about his special entrances. I'm talking about his standard entrance where he walks down to the ring, pours a little bit of water over his head, puts a little bit of water in his mouth, and then as the beat drops, he spits the water. You cannot say, as a wrestling fan, let me know in the comment section. I've done it. But in the comment section, I would love to see if you've done this. Please do let me know. If you just comment one thing on this video, let me know if you've done this. If you've done that whole Triple H spitting water thing in the shower. I've done it so many times as a kid. I used to try and get the splash perfect. And also, it works. It suits him perfectly. Now, here's the guys that absolutely deserve to be on the Mount Rushmore. And the first one I'm going to mention, I was tossing back and forth between him and Triple H. That is Kane. When that organ music hit, even the slow chemical burn, it was so good. Now, there's one thing that I didn't realize, and also when he brings his arms up and pyro comes down, not pyro comes down, pyro blows up and his arms come down. There's just one thing I didn't realize when I was a kid, but looking back and reading a couple of things, I realized this is true. If Kane did his whole pyro thing in his entrance, he wasn't going to win the match because they can only load the rings with one piece of pyro. So if he does that in the beginning, he can't do it at the end of the match. So that was kind of a giveaway of when he's going to win and when not. But still, Kane's entrance deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. Next is Eddie Guerrero. I know a lot of you won't have him on here, but his whole coming out with the low rider, all of that. I didn't even mention JBL because the limo was just a cheap ripoff. I didn't mention Alberto Del Rio because that was just a cheap ripoff of Eddie Guerrero. It is Eddie Guerrero, the low rider, lie, cheat, steal. It's just so good. I miss Eddie Guerrero so much. And then lastly, if you guys didn't already know, it's The Undertaker. He had quite a few in his life. He obviously had the Dead Man one. When the gong hits, you know it's about to go down. Then he had Biker Taker, which I didn't like the gimmick that much, but the entrance coming down with a Harley, who cannot enjoy that? And then his later career also. So the whole thing with Kane's gimmick was Undertaker would raise the lights when he raised his hands, where Kane would do the opposite, he would bring his hands down. That was apparently deliberate. But those are the 3, Kane, Eddie, Taker, that should be on the Mount Rushmore. I debated putting Triple H on there, but ultimately I didn't. But let me know in the comment section if you've done that Triple H thing in the shower and who your 4th would be. Until next time, peace.